Welcome in, everybody, to this, we can call it a special edition of the Rebel Report podcast. My name is Michael Borky. I'm glad that you guys are here. As promised, if you were on the live stream last night, did not have the opportunity to play you my one-on-one conversation with Ole Miss men's basketball coach Chris Beard. So here I am bringing that to you as promised. Before we get to it, I would invite you to please like the video, leave a comment as well, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get them. Just search Rebel Report on your favorite podcast app. I would recommend Spotify, but all of them work just fine. Just search Rebel Report, subscribe, and leave a rating and a review. And this edition and every edition of the podcast is presented by the Gregory Law Firm. DJ Gregory, he's in Fulton, but he can service you anywhere in Mississippi. If you're a small business owner and you need legal advice or legal help, he's got you covered. Here's the phone number, 662-397-9799. If you've been personally injured, don't waste another second. After you get done watching the Chris Beard interview, call DJ Gregory. He can help you out. 662-397-9799. Don't delay. Call DJ today. The Gregory Law Firm, presenting the Rebel Report for all of your small business, personal injury, or contract disputes. Check him out today. All right, here it is. As promised, I cut off a little bit of the introduction at the beginning, and we just dive right into talking about this game that they're playing on the coast against Southern Miss tomorrow. At the Coast Coliseum. Tickets, by the way, still available. If you're south of I-20 and you want to go see the basketball team play, it's a good one, by the way, and you don't get that opportunity very often, they are coming to you for our friends down on the coast. So we start there, get into his team a little bit, their trip to San Diego, playing BYU and Purdue, and more. So here it is, one-on-one, me and Ole Miss basketball coach Chris Beard.
Long way from home. I mean, a many-hour drive. A lot of your fans down there on the coast don't get to see your team as much as they'd probably like. So picking up and going to them, I think, quite frankly, is a really cool thing that you guys are doing.
Yeah, exactly. We think one of the responsibilities of being Ole Miss is to try to play games convenient for all of our alumni and fans. We've got a lot of Ole Miss graduates in the coast. We've also got some people that are just enjoying being on the coast in a good December weekend. I think the same with Southern Miss. They've got a lot of alumni and fans right there in that area too. So just encouraging anybody that hasn't got their tickets yet. Tickets are still available. Game's at 3 o'clock tomorrow in the Coliseum. So we hope to have a great attendance on both sides of the game.
And you mentioned your respect for Coach Ladner. What can fans expect from your opponent on Saturday? What do you see out of this team?
Yeah, I think Jay's teams always start with a defensive identity. This year's team, they've got a lot of kind of positionless players. 3 or 4 guys around 6'7", 6'8" that can do a lot of different things. Jay's teams always have a discipline on defense and do a good job on offense. So there'll be a lot of challenging parts of this game for us. I think Southern Miss is good this year, so it'll be a good test for our team.
Let's go back a few games, actually. You went to your team picked up and went to San Diego, and you played in what felt like they felt like tournament games with BYU and Purdue, both of them coming down to the wire, overtime, last-second kind of games. What did you learn about your team through that experience, picking up, going on the road, playing on back-to-back nights like that against quality opponents like the two of them?
Yeah, I would agree with you. Definitely think that BYU and Purdue have chances to be NCAA tournament teams this year. So that was the opportunity we were looking for in our Thanksgiving week tournament. We try to play great competition each year in those tournaments. Learned a lot about our teams. Some of the things that we thought could be parts of our identity this year showed up. And certainly those type games, you can discover some weaknesses too, some things you got to work on. So, college basketball in the month of November and December, I think any coach would tell you we're just trying to learn more about our team as conference play nears. But certainly Thanksgiving week, having those 2 games, and then also at Louisville that same week, it was a big opportunity week for our team.
What is something that you mentioned learning about your team, that you have learned about your team that you didn't expect?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, we knew we had some offensive talent on this team with some transfers. We've got 5 or 6 guys on our team that were the leading scorer on their teams last year. And we set this thing up to try to be an offense that improves throughout the season as guys continue to learn how to play with each other. I don't know if it was a surprise, but we are pleased with where our guys are in terms of their mentalities, trying to move the ball, trying to play unselfish offense. I think defensively, we're going to have to be a unit that plays together. We don't have that one dominant rebounder, that one dominant defender. But I think when our 5 guys play as one, when we play as a team on defense, I think we've shown in this early season that we can get a lot accomplished. So those are things that we're just trying to continue to develop our team, which I'm sure Southern Miss is doing the same.
Jamin Brakefield, a veteran player, played a lot of college basketball in his career, been a veteran of your program as well. What went into the decision to bring him off the bench, and how did he himself handle that decision?
Yeah, it was kind of a cool personal story that hasn't gotten much attention yet. I think it will at some point. We basically have 7 starters on this team. And so probably more important than the starting lineup is how these guys play together and who finishes the game. That was actually Brakefield's idea himself. He came to us a couple of days before the season started and just said, "Hey, Coach, I don't care who starts. I'm just more concerned about us winning." Brakefield's done a lot in college basketball. His individual resume kind of speaks for itself. Was a really good player for Kermit and was a really good player for us last year. So I think, Brake's heart's in the right place. And, all good teams, you have to have that selfless, that kind of unselfish attitude from different players. That was actually Brakefield's idea. His desire to win. He's really secure in who he is. He's really secure in, his game. So I don't want to speak for Brake, but, that act of unselfishness, it was a big thing around here. Brake is a starter in my mind. He's a guy that will always be a heavy minute player for us. But his desire to come off the bench instead of start kind of shows you where his heart is.
One of my favorite Mike Tyson quotes is, of all people, is everybody's got a game plan until they get punched in the mouth. What is that like from a basketball perspective, and especially your rotations, talking about Brakefield coming off the bench, minute distributions? Is that something that you stick to throughout the entire course of a game, or like when you're playing a Purdue in what feels like a tournament game, do you just kind of adjust on the fly and change your rotations and who's playing based on who's playing well tonight as opposed to who you thought was going to be most effective against said opponent?
Yeah, good question. I think a little bit of both. We obviously go into a game with some rotations in mind, some minutes in mind. Got to get our best players on the floor, get them opportunities. But probably equally important, there's the actual in-game coaching. What's working tonight, what lineups are working tonight in this game. So I think every game is a little bit of a chess match involved. It starts with your identity. It's always about us more than them. But certainly when you get into competition during that 40-minute game, you're trying to find things that will work for you. So this year it's kind of been a combination of both. We obviously have a rotation, just like most teams do, but we're willing to get off script a little bit in any given game if that's what it requires.
Real quick, I know Matt Morrell's been dealing with some injury stuff. Do you have any kind of an update? Will he be available on Saturday for your team?
Yeah, I think the best way to describe that right now is Matt is probable. There's nothing too concerning here in terms of his ability to have a great season, but he's just a little bit banged up right now. And so he's doing a great job in the training room, just basically trying to get healthy before SEC play. So he's kind of on a day-to-day basis. We'll kind of see how practice goes tomorrow. I don't have a clear answer whether he'll play Saturday or not.
Sean Padula is a guy that has already seemingly won the hearts and minds of your fans, Coach. He's a guy that's done a little bit of everything for you at the guard spot. What can you say about how he is acclimated to your program being a first-year guy?
Yeah, I think the best way to describe Sean is he's a competitor. His craft is very important to him. His team's important to him. The scoreboard at the end of the game is important to him. So that's what initially attracted us to us, is we knew what kind of competitor was a really good player in the ACC at Virginia Tech. Obviously, his game speaks for himself. He's one of the better guards in college basketball. But what we've been really pleased with in our short time in Oxford so far is just his willingness to try some things that he's never done before in his career. Whether that be trying to play with more of a point guard mentality, because everybody knows he can score. And he's really challenged himself on the defensive end, too. And I would say the same things about Jalen Murray. Juju and Sean have taken a great approach in this early season. Our team has a lot of offensive weapons. What we need is point guard play. And both of those guys have sacrificed a little bit of their individual scoring, to try to get the ball to other people. So it's been a positive so far.
And point distribution, from my vantage point, looks really good, Coach. 5 players for you averaging double figures this season. We talked back in the fall or early fall about managing scoring and keeping everybody happy. It seems like your team's doing a pretty good job of that.
Yeah, I would agree. That was always kind of a design. Our better teams over the years have had 4 or 5 guys in double-figure scoring on any given night. And this year's stat sheet, although it's early, kind of reflects that. We don't have a goal of having the leading scorer be the same guy every game. We really try to kind of win through strength in numbers and balance. And so far this season, although it's early, the guys have really bought into that.
Coach, thank you for.
Hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. The Rebel Report is also brought to you in part by Advantage Business Systems. Check them out online at absms.com for all of your Mississippi office technology needs. Tell them I sent you. You'll get a complimentary office technology assessment. So just tell them what you need and what your budget is, and they will find a solution for you on me, absms.com. And the podcast is also brought to you in part by Priority One Bank. Let them make you their priority. They do me every single day with their online banking platform. It's a one-stop shop. All you need is an internet connection, and you can do whatever it is that you need to do with your money because Priority One Bank makes you their priority. So Ole Miss has already gotten another transfer portal commitment. The offensive lineman from Arkansas is now in the boat as well. It's going to be a busy weekend and a busy time. We'll be back on Sunday to talk about it together, as well as that basketball game that we just talked about with Chris Beard and anything else that comes up between now and then. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys live again on Sunday.